Hi, welcome. Welcome. Linda here from ITTT, back this week with another live session. How is everybody doing? I hope you're doing fine. And thanks for joining me today on this beautiful Thursday or Friday or whatever day it is where you are. Also, actually, that's the first thing I want to know. Where are you watching from right now? Let me know. And also, as you know, always during our live sessions, we have a 30% off discount codes. I'm going to share that also in just a second. But thank you so much for joining and tuning in today. We're going to talk about all things teaching business English. Okay, how to get started and tips and tricks and just things to know about the industry because it's pretty different from regular teaching. Some slight differences and things that you need to be aware of, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So yeah, welcome. Also, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe as always so you are updated, you're staying up to date. We go live every week, and so when you like and subscribe, we're actually live on Facebook and on YouTube at the same time. So you like our Facebook page, you hit that subscription bell, the subscribe thing on YouTube, all of that, then you will get notified whenever we go live. And we also, on our Facebook page, we share a lot of interesting content, teaching materials you can use in your classroom, also job offers, very, very important. And of course, TEFL TESOL information. So like and follow, and then you always get notified whenever we go live as well. So how's everybody doing? Let me know in the comments where you're watching from today. Very curious. And then first off, just today's agenda, what we're going to talk about today. Oh, I didn't update that, so we're going to skip it. I forgot about this. Anyway, I just said, yeah, we'll figure it out on the go, but I actually forgot to update the agenda from the template. Anyway, that's all good. So first off, a little bit about me. I'm a teacher, I'm a travel writer, a content creator, many different things. And maybe I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, maybe like that. There we go. Under the name Linda Goes East because I've been living in Asia pretty much since 2012. So for 10 years, over 10 years, there was a break in the middle. But anyway, I started out in China and then moved to Korea, and I've been in Korea now 8 years. So most of my time in Korea. And if you're interested in teaching English in Asia, China, Korea, Japan, all of these countries, head to lindagoeseast.com and you'll find a lot of information there as well. Also, if you have any questions, particularly about teaching English in Korea or Asia, you can also just DM me on social media. Instagram and Threads now is at Linda Goes East, but also I also have a Facebook page and also Linda Goes East. So all the social handles are Linda Goes East. You can reach me there if you have a question and you don't want to ask here in front of everybody. That's also fine. I actually have a lot of messages I'm going to go through today. So if you sent me one recently and I haven't responded, I was very busy the past few weeks. So I do apologize, but I'm going through them today and over the weekend and respond to everything. But yeah, originally I'm from Germany and the US. My mom is German, my dad is American. And like I said in the beginning, I'm based in South Korea. So that is about me. Also, keep your comments coming real quick where you are watching from today. And I'm just going to give a quick introduction as well about ITTT. So ITTT, if you're new here, stands for International TEFL and TESOL Training. And our website is teflcourse.net. And we are a leading TEFL and TESOL course provider worldwide. And we do, like I mentioned in the beginning, have a 30% off opportunity. So you can scan this QR code right here and get 30% off any TEFL or TESOL course from ITTT. Or I also have a link for you if you can't scan that. Same thing, you just copy paste the link and you'll also get a 30% discount. All right, so this is it. Ends with FB Live minus Linda. If you're listening to this as a podcast episode, you'll find the link in the description of the podcast. As you might know, we turn all of our live sessions into podcast episodes after. So if you want to take us on the go, you can also do that. And today's topic is actually also a requested topic from one of our podcast listeners. So Adele, thank you so much for the request. And this is for you. Shout out to Adele. But today is all about teaching business English. Like I said, how to get started, tips and tricks, and all of that good stuff. And let me have a look at the comments. Still keep your comments coming about where you're watching from today. Let me know in the comments. Like I said, I'm in South Korea, and it's actually 10:35 a.m. right now. And it's very rainy. We are in rainy season, so it's raining outside. It's not great at the moment. It's hot, humid, very rainy. I don't know what we're going to do this weekend. Not much action going on with this weather, but there are also a lot of things you can do indoors. A lot of arcades and things to do. Museums are always fun. So probably something like that. How about you guys? So Sam says, good morning. Good morning, Sam. How are you doing? Mary says, from Florida, I just completed my CTPR 6 hours and 220-hour or 25-hour TEFL TESOL. Okay, cool. Very nice. Congratulations on the CTPR. How was that? I'm curious. Cool. Emilio, hi again. Hi again, Emilio. Hello, Linda, tuning in from Barcelona. Nice. How's the weather in Barcelona? I think it's pretty hot at the moment in Europe, right? Crystalline. Hi, Crystalline. How you doing? Crystalline says, I'll be sending you some questions here soon. I have some questions. Okay, perfect. Charlie is watching from Hong Kong. Very cool. How's the weather in Hong Kong? I love Hong Kong. I used to live in Guangzhou, just across the border, basically. Well, Shenzhen is in the middle, but very close to Hong Kong. So I've been many, many times. I really want to go back again. I love Hong Kong. It's one of my favorite places. So cool. Crystalline. Oh, yeah, I just put that up. Okay, Crystalline sending in some questions soon. Awesome. All right. Well, let's maybe get into it. Let's get into it as always. You can ask me your questions throughout the live. There's also going to be a Q&A at the end, right? You know what's up. And again, we have 30% off today. So you can scan the link. And there's always this little QR code like in the corner up there. You can always scan at any time as well. That will also get you the discount. And yeah, let's jump into it. So let me skip this. Okay, perfect. So first we're going to talk a little bit about what business English is, what it entails, what kind of a niche it is in ESL teaching, and also kind of current trends and predictions for the future, so that if you're interested in this kind of field, that you know kind of what you're getting yourself into, or like, is it worth getting into? We're going to cover that first. Sam says, I'm also in the middle of monsoon, basically getting baked and watered at the same time. Oh, no. Yes. Sam, where are you watching from again? I forget. Oh, I forget now. But yeah, it is monsoon season here too, so you must be pretty close to me, I think. Same area. Like region of the world, maybe. I forget where you live, but yeah. Monsoon season is crazy. We haven't had any typhoons yet. I wonder when they'll show up, because that's also kind of something interesting. Anyway, so overview of business English as a niche in ESL teaching. So let's jump right into that. All right, and I'm going to make myself smaller so we can all see this better. Okay, so business English is a specialized area within English language teaching, right? We have basically ESL as or EFL as a top category, and then a couple of specialized fields and branches, and business English is one of them. And then we also have, for example, teaching young learners, children with business English. Another one would be just regular English, I suppose, or also kind of things like test prep. So those are all kind of specialized areas. But teaching children and business English are definitely the biggest specialized areas within EFL. And so, yeah, and this focuses on teaching language skills and concepts that are relevant to the corporate world. Okay, so you're going to be teaching essential terms, vocabulary, and communication skills that are needed in a professional setting, right? Business English caters to adult learners who are professionals or aspiring professionals in various industries. Teaching business English requires a combination of language teaching expertise, but also an understanding of business concepts. So that's kind of what is going on. So your students are going to be people who are working for a certain company. Usually we're going to get into that, but basically you might teach business English one-to-one, one-on-one, or also in a group setting as well. And so I've taught business English in the past. One-on-one, yes, I did both actually, one-on-one classes and also group classes. And so the group classes, typically the people are from the same company. Typically, but there are also exceptions. So business English comes in many different forms and variations as well, and we're going to jump into that too. But just as a regular thing, you are basically combining English with the corporate world and teach English that is relevant either to that certain niche, the certain industry that this company or the people, your students, operate in. Or it can be also more general. This is for people who are aspiring professionals. So you would also teach things like English interviewing, things like that, negotiating, maybe even things like interpreting, things like that. This could also be under the umbrella of business English. All right, Sam says, I'm tuning in from India. So same continent. Yes, okay, I remember. I was going to say India, but then I wasn't sure. Okay, cool. Monsoon season in India, also monsoon season in Korea as well. So a lot of rain for us. All right, good. Business English. And yeah, I actually found these really interesting statistics here. This is from technavio.com, and they are looking at the business English sector and the market size outlook. It is expected to grow in the next coming years. So that's very important for us to know if we are interested in teaching business English, that we know that this is not a dying field. No, it is a growing industry, a growing field, okay? And the market size is going to increase. A lot more people are going to need business English business English teachers and professionals, and this is something that is not going away or decreasing. So it's actually a good industry to kind of get into right now. As you can see, this stats go all the way until 2027, and every year it is expected to increase. So that's very, very good. Jing is back. Hi, Jing, watching from Philippines. How are you doing, Jing? Good to see ya. And especially, this is another stat from the same place, 50% of this growth will originate from the APAC, so Asia Pacific area. So Asia Pacific. And specifically, the pins, actually, that's what I put in based on other research, which are some really hot countries where business English teaching, business English education is extremely popular and on the rise. So these are countries, especially countries like China, India as well. Then we have Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan. And then also we have the Middle East a little bit. And then it said particularly Germany, so also a couple of European countries, in particular Germany. So, but mostly Asia. So if you're interested in teaching business English abroad, you're going to find a lot of positions in these countries in Asia. So again, that is Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, and India. Those have a high demand for business English teachers, and also in the next coming years. So that's very interesting for us to know. If you're interested in going to Asia anyway, then you can also look into business English. And this is actually something that's true also in my case. So I've been living in South Korea for 8 years. I started out teaching English at a kindergarten, so teaching young learners. And then this was full time. And then I stepped back and I taught English only on the side. Since then, different projects, whenever I had a good a project or a good opportunity, I took that. And one couple of months, a year, I don't remember how long it was, but I did actually teach business English as well. So there is a high demand for business English. And I met somebody a while ago while I was doing a English winter camp, actually, who was a full-time business English teacher at, I believe it was Samsung or LG. So it was a big it was one of those. So either Samsung or LG in Seoul. And he was a full-time employee there as a business English teacher. So that I thought was really interesting. Okay, Sam, this is a really good question. So let me answer that. So Sam asks, can someone teach business English and teach English to kids, middle school, high school at the same time? Or do you have to pick just one for the moment? So this really depends on either, who your employer is. So if you're working for a school, let's say you work in a public school for middle school or high school, then your students will only be middle schoolers or high schoolers. However, you can even, so something in my case, the business English that I taught was not full-time. There are a lot of business English positions where they actually invite teachers in once a week or twice a week. So you can do this on the side if you wanted to. I keep scratching my face. I'm sorry, but I have cats, and when the weather is humid like this, all the cat hair kind of gets stuck to my face. So I apologize. Anyway, so yeah, but I've also found during my research that there are companies who they are kind of, what would you call them? Like, not recruiters, but they are basically hiring English teachers and then outsourcing them to different schools and employers. And so then, yes, you can teach business English, but you could also teach regular students, for example. So that is possible. It depends on, the employer who hires you. I hope that makes sense. Okay. All right, then I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of teaching business English. So why is it a good niche to get into? What are the benefits? And maybe, if it's a benefit for you, if it fits for you. So let's look at that for a second. So the benefits of teaching business English, I think I found 5 benefits. So there's more on the second slide. But actually with business English, there is an increased earning potential. So you're actually earning more. Teaching business English, often they offer higher rates compared to general English teaching. And this is definitely true also in my case. And we're going to get into salary also in a bit, how much you can earn. But they do pay better than general English classes. So that's really great. You also have a lot of opportunities for specialization. So you can develop expertise in a specific industry or profession, such as finance, marketing, or hospitality. So, that's also the thing. Like with business English, it is, of course, a plus if you understand that industry that you're expected to teach, that your students are expected, that your students are from, right? But it is not necessary in many cases. In many cases, it's not necessary to be like an industry expert in your students' industry. So for example, in my case, I was teaching students actually from a big pharmaceutical company in Korea. Now, I don't know anything about the pharmaceutical industry, but I actually learned a lot from teaching them. So that's also something that you could pick up. But at the same time, you can also leverage your own previous business experience. So if you have a background in business or corporate environments, teaching business English allows you to utilize your knowledge and skills. And that's what a lot of business English employers are also obviously looking for, and is a plus, right? That is a plus. If, for example, you are back home in maybe in America, you've been, part of corporate America for 20 years, and then it's like, oh, I want something different. Let me go and teach English abroad. And then you would probably have a very easy time finding a business English position because of your 20-year experience in corporate America. And then you can kind of, leverage your previous business experience. So many different ways to get into. But again, it's not necessary to be a business professional or have worked in any kind of corporate setting beforehand to do this. Yes, so number 4 is you will be teaching adult learners. So if you teach business English, of course you will not teach children, right? So teaching business English actually gives you the opportunity to work with motivated and goal-oriented professionals. And this will be very different than teaching children. A lot of the times when you teach children, there's a handful of kids who are not motivated. They are not interested in English. They do not want to be there. That's just how it is, but you have to deal with it. But most of the time when you teach business English, most of the people there they want to be there. They're very motivated and they take this class. Some of them even pay for it with their own money. Sometimes, of course, the company pays for it, but typically these people, they want to be there, and sometimes they even have to take a test after, or there's a promotion at stake for completing this class, and they're highly motivated. So it's going to be a very different teaching environment, because you're not going to be teaching annoyed little children who don't want to be there. You're going to be teaching adults who are highly motivated in many cases. Of course, there's exceptions, but you know what I'm saying. And it also gives you flexibility in teaching settings. So you can teach business English in physical classrooms. You can also teach business English online nowadays on many platforms, or be a freelancer. And this really offers you flexibility in your teaching career. We're going to talk a little bit about this later as well, about different forms of business English teaching, but just know that there are also different settings. So we're going to get into that. And Nathan has a question. So let me pull that up, Nathan. How are you doing, Nathan? Are there opportunities for non-native English speaking teachers in Japan or Korea? What do you think? Yeah, absolutely. I think more so maybe in Japan. It kind of depends. With Korea, the English teaching visa is heavily tied to your nationality. So the English teacher visa in Korea is called the E2 visa. And this E2 visa, you can only get it if you're from one of 7 English-speaking countries. And that is Canada, the United States, Ireland, UK, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. So those 7 countries, only if you're a national, if you have a passport from one of those countries, you can actually get this E2 teaching visa. Now, Japan, they don't have that. So there are actually a lot of non-native English teachers in Japan versus Korea. So in that regard, I think Japan would be a better bet. However, also with Korea, there is, you can work as an English teacher or any teacher in Korea also under different visas. Okay, so for example, if you have a visa, there's a visa in Korea for a working holiday visa, for example, that you could get, and then you could get employed. And this is open to all nationalities. Or if there's a special visa, I don't know about your case, but there's a special visa for people who have Korean grandparents. I think it goes all the way to great grandparents. So if one of your great grandparents was from Korea, you can actually go to Korea and get sort of like a green card visa. It's a very good visa, and you can also work with that. So there are different options for Korea. You don't have to only go through the E2 visa, but I'm not a visa expert. This is just from what I've seen and heard. So I would recommend, if you're really interested in going to Korea, check it out on like the Korea Embassy website, all of their visa types, and check it out. And you can also call them and ask them to make sure. But you can also go to Korea and not teach with the E2 visa, the teaching visa. There are other visas as well. Hope that helps. Good. Okay, so these are the benefits of teaching business English. Again, you likely make more money. Your students are adults, so that's really great. and you are able to use your expertise from your previous career back home. But that's not a must. So now let's look at the step-by-step of teaching business English. The few steps that are included, how you can make this work, what are the steps involved, how to find a business English teaching job. So first, here are the steps. Number 1, get TEFL TESOL certified. Of course, this has to come up. And then you would refine your TEFL TESOL resume. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your search for business English teaching jobs. We're going to talk about applying to jobs if teaching with a company. And we're also going to talk about finding business English students when you're freelancing. So the different types of business English teaching. All right, let's start with the first step. That is always with any kind of English teaching, the first step is getting TEFL TESOL certified, right? It's also very important for business English teachers. And here there are two, depending on which category you kind of fall into, okay? So for new teachers, you will definitely need the 120-hour TEFL certification if you've not taught before or higher. And this is essential for aspiring English teachers in general, business English teachers as well. And this course just gives you the foundational knowledge and the skills that are necessary for teaching English as a foreign language. And then, a TEFL certification program, if you've never taken one before, covers topics such as lesson planning, classroom management, and language acquisition theories. So teaching theories, language theories, and things like that. If you are an experienced teacher, and you don't have a TEFL, also get a TEFL. But if you already have a TEFL, you can enhance your skills and marketability by pursuing a specialized certification in teaching business English. So there's actually a special kind of TEFL certification specifically for business English. And we're going to look at that also in a second. These kind of specialized certifications, they focus on teaching English to professionals in a business context. So the courses cover in-depth knowledge of business English, curriculum design, materials development, and industry-specific language skills. So if you're a new teacher, you want to get the 120-hour course plus the specialized, ideally. And if you already have a TEFL course, the specialized course is a great top-up to just enhance your chances. So let's look at these two courses a little bit in detail. The 120-hour TEFL TESOL course this is for any kind of teaching English abroad or professionally online as well. This is the international minimum, international standard. So everyone who wants to teach English professionally, abroad, online, whatever it is, this is the first course that you should be taking, the 120-hour course. Why? Because internationally, there is a minimum requirement amongst many employers, which is 100 hours of TEFL TESOL training. And the 120-hour course covers that. So that is the international standard course that you want to get. This course is very flexible. It offers self-paced learning, so you can study at your own time from wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whenever you want to study. There's no certain time that you need to be online or things like that. You can study whenever you want. You have access to the course materials on any device, so you can do this on your phone even, on your computer, on your laptop, on your tablet, whatever the case. You can also print out the materials if you wanted to. The course covers teaching skills, methodologies, language awareness, amongst other things. It is internationally recognized, and you receive a hard copy certificate at the end. And then you also, that's very important, have access to career support throughout your teaching career. That is also very important. So that is that. And I also included the price here because actually with our discount, you can see the banner down here. With our discount, it is 30% cheaper. So on the website, if you go to teflcourse.net, you'll see the price listed as $249 US. But with today's discount that I shared in the comments, you can also scan this QR code. I'm going to share the link again. It is only $174. So you actually save a lot of money with this discount. So if you're not yet certified, take advantage. Take the course with the discount. Do not pay full price, right? Save your money. And then looking at the 60-hour specialized certification in teaching business English, this is the Business English Specialized course. This is suitable for individuals who are either currently working or intending to work in teaching business English. You will gain basic knowledge of teachers' roles and student, business clients' needs, classroom management, lesson planning specific to teaching business English. And again, you will also get access to unique job support services at the end. And this course is $199 on the website, but with today's discount code, it is 30% off, so $139 if my math is correct. I did use a calculator, so it should be correct. But you know. Anyways, so that's that. So with that said, let me just share our discount link one more time in the comments, because I know people are coming in and out of our live. So I want to make sure that everybody sees that and has access to that. So that is that. Looks like this. And again, if you're listening to this as a podcast episode, it will be in the podcast episode description. And there is another option that I recommend. And this is my favorite course. I always recommend this. I think this is the best course to take, in my opinion. So this is actually the 220-hour TEFL TESOL Master Package. And this includes 3 courses. So this includes the 2 that we just talked about. Oh, I want to go back. These 2, it includes these 2. So 120-hour course, the regular course. It includes the business English course. And it also includes the Teaching English to Young Learners course. So you actually get 3 courses in one package. So that is that. And I think, because like I said in the beginning, teaching business English and teaching children are the 2 biggest fields in the EFL, English as a foreign language teaching world. So if you take this course, you are good to go. You can teach anywhere. Pretty much any setting, any field, anywhere you can teach with this. So that's why I really love it. Again, this is also internationally recognized, of course. You also receive a hard copy certificate, and you also get access to support, career support throughout your teaching career. And this is $244 with today's discount. So it's really not that expensive compared to other courses. And I mean, yeah, when you get hired, you're going to get this money back in your first salary. So it's really great. Black Vulture Music says, Linda, you're priceless to the TEFL TESOL world. Thank you for all you do. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're so sweet. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank you very much. Sam says, would you recommend getting any kind of Google career certificates in teaching or communication? I've been seeing a lot of ads for those recently. Oh, nice. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Let me just Google that. Google career. What is it called? Certificates in teaching. I need to check that out. Certificates in teaching. I'm actually mentioning that. Did I freeze? Did I freeze on like a weird face right now? Okay, anyway. I did hear about these, and any kind of certificates are great. Communication is great. Any kind of additional certificates you can get are only going to be beneficial. So I definitely would say yes, they are good. I'm going to check them out after this live, all of the different certificate options there. But yeah. I think this is actually mentioned on some of the other slides in just a second with additional certificates. So I'm going to talk about that then. But yeah, and then step 2, let's talk a little bit about refining your TEFL TESOL resume for a teaching business English job. So there are kind of 2 parts to this. So firstly, you want to highlight relevant courses and experiences. Yeah, I think this is what we just said with the additional courses. So of course, you want to include your TEFL TESOL certification very prominently on your resume, right, to showcase your professional training in teaching English as a foreign language. You also want to highlight any specialized certifications related to business English teaching, and then emphasize additional relevant courses. And this is what Sam just mentioned. So any language assessment, Courses, this would be particular important for non-native English teachers. So language assessment, language proficiency. Also, if you speak another foreign language, also definitely put that on there, right? That is very important to know as a language teacher for an employer. If you have learned other foreign languages in the past, that is very important and shows that you you can sympathize with your students, right? You've learned a foreign language as well, so you know what it's like to be a student. So that's a huge plus. Yeah, any kind of curriculum development courses, any kind of communication courses as well, definitely. Any kind of things like that. Also, if you've done any, this is the second part. I'm not going to say that now, but yeah, anything that demonstrates your expertise in language teaching. And then the second area that you should highlight and include is relevant business experience and training in that world. So incorporate your business experience from previously into your resume to demonstrate your understanding of the corporate world. You should highlight any previous work experience in relevant industries or positions that involved business communication or training. So don't leave anything out, and include any specific training or workshops that you have attended. So this could be any business skill, such as presentation skill, business writing. I've done a lot of business interpreting, like for business meetings, those kinds of things. That should be included. And then what Sam said, any kind of communication certificates, any kind of, I don't know what they're all called nowadays, the team building things and all that. Definitely include that. You should include anything that you can, right? Include anything. Anything that's slightly relevant. So, yeah. So 2 things: highlight your relevant courses for teaching, the teaching side, but also include your business experience. Very important, those 2 aspects. And then step 3 here is the search for business English teaching jobs. So how do we search? How do we find business English teaching jobs? You have your resume now. You know where you want to go. You know that business English teaching is right for you. It pays more. You're going to be teaching motivated adults. What's not to like, right? So how do we find these business English jobs? So first of all, the first source here that I mentioned, of course, is the ITTT job board. And what we just talked about, with the courses that you take, you have access to career support services. So also during that time, when you speak with one of our consultants at the end, you can mention, when you finished your course, you can mention that you would like to get into business English teaching, and then they will help you find a relevant business English teaching position. You can also go to our ITTT job board and browse jobs on there. This is on our website, teflcourse.net, and in the header up there is a section about jobs, so you can check that out. Any other job boards, of course, for example, LinkedIn is huge, also with business English. You can find a lot of positions there. You type in business English and you'll find a lot of results. What also works really, really well, and I always mention this, I think in every single live session or podcast episode, I mention Facebook groups. Facebook, I know, who's on Facebook anymore? My husband actually asks me a lot, why are you on Facebook? And it's really for the groups. It's for the groups why I am on Facebook. And for you guys to do the lives, of course. Yeah, so Facebook is really great for the groups. The groups are super valuable. And if you do a search for TEFL TESOL groups, there are so many out there. It's ridiculous. There's a huge amount, and also very specific. So there'd be like, TEFL TESOL jobs or English teaching jobs in Korea, English teaching jobs in Peru, I don't know, English teaching jobs in Mexico. So there'd be very, very specific Facebook groups in there, and they all have thousands of members. So these are so great to either find job opportunities, because people post in them also jobs, right? Or to network with people. You can find people. A lot of times, and I've mentioned this before, in the English teaching world, a lot of teachers actually, when they work at a school or they work at a company in business English and teaching business English, and then their contract ends and they are ready to leave that job, a lot of times their employer will be like, oh, do you know anyone? I get asked this all the time as well. Oh, do you know anybody who, you know, we can hire and who can fill this position when you leave. And so a lot of these teachers, they actually ask their friends, or then they resort to Facebook groups and share. I've been reading every day, kind of, I read a message like that. Where it's like, hey, I'm at this really good school, or I'm at this really good company, and I'm leaving, and they're looking for a replacement teacher. So if you're interested, like, here's the email address, here's the job description, yada, yada, yada. And then you can, you can apply through that. So that, and then this is like done internally first, right? Or informally done first in the Facebook groups via the teacher who's leaving. And then if they don't find anyone there, then they go to places like the official job boards and LinkedIn and all that. So, and this is kind of what referrals from other business English teachers is. So, and we've talked about this in the past as well, but when it comes to like teaching English abroad, I feel like your first year, you know, in the beginning, whatever it is, the first year that you are, like, for example, in Korea, you're teaching in Korea, it's your first year in Korea, and you're going to meet so many other teachers, you're going to meet so many other professionals, and you're going to meet them, and you're going to network, and then you're going to find out about these opportunities that you actually wouldn't find out about online or on your own. So, like, what I always say is, like, your first year of teaching English abroad is kind of your networking year, and your year of kind of understanding how the industry locally works. You're working, you can see, oh, is this school good or not? You know, do I like teaching this or that? And you kind of understand the whole field better in this first year of teaching English abroad. And you make so many connections that then you can very easily slide into another job. So, for example, I was teaching, even after just 1 year of teaching in Korea, and then I started taking Korean language classes that are offered at the local university for free. So I went there, and someone who worked there approached me, because it's quite a well-known university. It's the biggest university, like, in the state here. And they approached me. They're like, hey, we're looking for a teacher for a university, like a university teacher, an English teacher. I think it was an English teacher. Are you interested? And so, you know, it's just stuff like that kind of comes your way. So you need to put yourself out there. You need to be patient, all of those things. So that would be my recommendation. So this is a good start, but I think most importantly, it's really putting yourself out there and just taking that first step and going abroad, and then networking and meeting all these people. And then you can find really amazing opportunities like that, if that makes sense. That's always worked very well for me. So, all right, then let's have a look at the considerations when job hunting for business English positions. As always, if there are any questions about what I'm saying, or any feedback, any comments, let me know in the comment section, and I'm going to be answering them. And we're also going to have a Q&A in just a bit at the end. So, yes, this is something I touched on in the beginning. So business English teaching jobs, they can vary in terms of the target audience, so such as teaching individual students or a group of professionals, but they can also vary in terms of the setting, the teaching setting. So you could be either teaching in a corporate setting. So this means you would be either a full-time employee at an actual company that has nothing to do with teaching, or you could be, well, this is one, okay, corporate setting. And a lot of popular industries for business English corporate positions is the aviation industry, hospitality specifically, and then also tourism, of course, in general. Then we have the finance industry, we have law, medicine, and engineering. So those are very big industries that are hiring business English teachers in-house. This is one thing that could happen. And this is somebody who I met before, like I said in the beginning, who was working, I think it was Samsung. So they have in-house business English teachers for their staff. The second option would be to work for a language institute. So this could mean you work for a language school, and either the students for business English, they come to you, to the language school, or this is what I've done, where you go to the company and then teach the students once or twice or 3 times, 4 times, sometimes even a week in their company. So this can also happen. But you are not employed by this company. You are employed by your language school and get paid through the language school, but they send you to work at different companies. This could be also what's happening. And then the other situation is online platforms. So online platforms, you teach English, business English online, of course. So you don't go anywhere. You stay where you are and you do that. And again, also the student pool, they can vary in age, in class size, and in speciality with all of these things. With option number 2 and 3, language institutes and online platforms in specific. With the corporate setting, you usually stay with the same, of course, speciality, the same industry, and often also the same students. And also with the corporate setting, most of the time you will also be asked to do like other things, not only teach business English, but maybe also interpret, do translation work, interpreting work, depending on, you know, if you speak other languages and things like that. So this can also be part of your job, not only teaching. So yeah. Then Sam says, when they asked you to teach at university, did it involve just teaching the English language or a little literature as well? This was, I think, a English communications class or English conversations. And actually one of my friends, she is teaching at that university in, I think, the same position that they offered me. I'm not sure. They have different, more than one foreign English teacher there, but this was, I think, a conversation position. So it's just conversation, talking with the students, and you would go through different, I'm not sure, conversation topics and talk about that and different phrases and expressions for communication. So not literature or anything like that. And at that university, there's also a lot of foreign students. So you have local students, but also the foreign students taking part in these English conversation lessons. So that was that. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly because I didn't take the job, but that's pretty much what it was. Yep. Okay. Then this is also something I wanted to mention when looking for jobs. So here, this is what I found based on my research, the top 5 global business English teaching providers, because it's very important for us to know, right? So here we have very big names. That is Berlitz Corporation, Coursera, EDX, EF Education First, and Inlingua International. So those are the top 5 global business English training providers. So let's have a look at all of these. And these are great sources also for you guys. So you can Google them up. You can find job offers specifically at these. They are hiring business English teachers. So look them up. Berlitz, very well known. They don't only do business English, right? They have segments such as different languages as well, not only English, adults, kids, teens, business services, and also international students. So the key services offered by the company include Berlitz foreign language courses and Berlitz corporate services. So they are 2 different services. So you might end up working for either the corporate side or the foreign language side, depends. But yeah, Berlitz is quite big, and they, I think, have physical language schools, right? So there are definitely opportunities there. This is a good one. Next one, Coursera. We probably know this one, but they operate their business through the online learning platform segment. So they offer services by including business English communication skills, specialization courses, and things like that. So they are actually also hiring business English professionals for their courses, putting together courses and lessons and classes. Similar is also EDX. So they're also an online learning platform. They provide access to a wide range of educational courses. I think a lot of you guys know this too. And key services offered specifically to business English include a course called English for Doing Business in Asia, which is very popular. And they're also hiring for that. Then EF Education First. This one is very, very big. And this one's very big in China as well. you see, I've said this before, but when you are in China, no matter what city in China you are in, at every corner there will be a English language school. And a lot of times you see a lot of EF schools there as well. So EF, they also do teaching different kinds of classes. They also have kids, right? They have adults, they have test prep, but they also have business English sectors. So you can also check them out specifically. Oh, this is the wrong link. Sorry. But if you Google EF education first, you can also find that, and then business English. And the last one, InLingua. This is a company that specializes in business English services, and they offer 2 key programs, which is one called the Intensive Club Business English, and then the Crash Week Business English. So, all right, here we have a comment from Mukesh. Hi, Mukesh. How are you doing from India? Thanks for watching. Says, good morning. How are you doing today? I'm doing great. How about you? And Mukesh says, you can't imagine how much I love the kind of sweetness that you have in your language. Oh my gosh, that's so nice. If you're reading my comments, then please take my name. Absolutely. Mukesh. Nice. And Mukesh says, I've done Master of Science in Botany and Bachelor of Education in Maths and Science. Wow. Nice. Are you interested in teaching English abroad, Mukesh? Nice. But real quick, back to InLingua. This is actually a school or training center that I personally attended in Germany. So I did a 2-year program, actually a full-time program at the local InLingua school in my city. And this also involved business English. So it was like a English and French, what was it called? English and French foreign language correspondent was the title. So it's a 2-year program that I did, and that was also very good. And yeah, they have a lot of business English teachers there as well. So these are the top 5 global business English training providers that you can look out for, Google, and find positions. And there are more, of course. They're not just these 5. So there are a lot more. So I recommend, if you're really serious and you want to start teaching business English, take a screenshot of all of these, and you can go online and check them out. There are a lot of big names here as well, right? British Council, italki, Lingoda, a lot of online platforms as well. So if you're interested in teaching English online, business English online, but of course you can also do in class as well. So those options, take a screenshot and Google these later for some job opportunities. All right, then we also have to talk about the rates and benefits for teaching business English and for business English positions. So let's do that. Typical rates and benefits. For example, we talked about this before, but business English positions actually pay better than regular English positions. So for example, in Japan, okay, Japanese conversation school pays, a regular school would pay you $110 a day, and this would convert to about $2,200 a month, versus a business English dispatch lesson, they pay $50 an hour. So you can calculate that up, and that's a lot better. Higher pay rate, right? So corporate clients, they pay for results, okay? That's what you need to know. Corporate clients pay for results, leading to 2 to 3 times higher hourly wages compared to typical conversation schools. You also have typically flexible teaching hours. So actually a lot of companies, they hire business English teachers for 1 to 3 hours once or twice a week, providing scheduling flexibility. So what this means is you can either be a freelance teacher and then go to these 1 to 3 hours a week to these different companies, or you will be hired through a company, and then the company will send you to different schools, different companies to teach business English. Or there's also cases where you actually are a full-time employee at a company, a full-time business English teacher. So there's various teaching opportunities. There's also things like day-long seminars that you might be doing, or 1-week intensive courses, or also things like, workshops. Usually the business English things that I've taught in the past were like maybe 3-4 months of courses with that group. and then you would switch, you get another group. So it really depends. But yeah, it's really, there's no one size fits all. It's all different depending on where you work at, who hires you. So yeah, and then that's a wrap. So that is it. Let's recap all of the information we covered today. So firstly, the very important for us to know, the business English sector is expected to grow further in the next few years, especially in Asia, especially in countries like China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan, India, but also in the Middle East and parts of Europe. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Then we have teaching business English often pays higher rates compared to general English teaching. So you often have rates like $50 an hour, which is great. Ideal, those jobs are ideal if you have a background in business or corporate environments, but it is not necessary. The 120-hour course plus the 60-hour CTBE, the Business English Certificate, they are really they will give you an advantage, an edge. They will make you more employable if you're looking to go into this direction. And you should definitely in your resume highlight these certifications and include your business expertise and experience and training as well in your resume. You can search for business English teaching jobs on online job boards, Facebook groups, LinkedIn, and word of mouth. Like we talked about, a lot of these positions are filled through people who know each other as well. So once you are already abroad and teaching, you can very easily slide into something like this. So a lot of people actually start out teaching regular English, and then they meet people and they slide into the business English sector like that. In general, business English teachers, they may work in corporate settings, they work in language institutes or online platforms. So these are the three main places where they might work. And big players in the industry include Berlitz, Coursera, EDX, EF Education First, InLingua, and many more. I hope you saved this list. You can also rewatch, rewind, write, and take a screenshot. So please do that. And with that said, we are going into Q&A. And again, I'm going to read your comments in just a second, but we have 30% off. So if you're not yet TEFL or TESOL certified, now is a great time to do so. If you want to get started with teaching business English or just teaching English in general, you can do that now. Now's a great time, 30% off. The industry is growing, so what are you waiting for? So yeah, 30% off any TEFL or TESOL course from ITTT today. I'm also going to share the link again in the comments because we have some new people watching who just tuned in later. So just sharing that again. And with FB Live minus Linda, and in the podcast description, you will also find a link. And you apply through this one and you get 30% off. When you click on this link, it will lead you to the application page and you will see like, congratulations, you qualify for 30% off or something like this. So then you know it's the right link. And with that said, we are officially in Q&A now. So let me have a look at the comments. There are a lot of comments from Mukesh. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I can't read out every single comment, but thank you so much. Okay, let me have some coffee. All right, Emilio says, I read somewhere that now is a legal requirement to have a bachelor's degree in education or English to teach in Vietnam. Have you heard anything about this? Sounds like misinformation to me. Yeah, sounds like misinformation to me as well. That would be very strict. So I don't think that that's true. I would say that's misinformation because I think last week, I don't know if you were there or who said it, but, or did you say it, Emilio? Somebody said they got an English teaching job in Vietnam, also as a non-native English teacher. So sounds like misinformation. But yeah, who knows what they come up with. Sam says, what, according to you, is the ideal length for a resume? Oh my gosh, I'm not a hiring expert, right? I heard a resume ideally should be 1 page. If you absolutely must, it can be 2 pages. Sometimes it can be very hard to fit everything on one page. If you find a good template, maybe you can fit everything on one page. Ideally, one page, but I think a lot of people have a resume that's 2 pages, but not more than that at all. Okay. Nice. Good. All right. I hope that answers it. Let's see. I still have a couple of minutes here to answer you guys' questions. And thank you so much for all of you who have stayed on and are leaving comments. I'm missing questions from Crystalline. Crystalline, didn't you say you have some questions? You can also message me later. That's fine. But yeah, I'm curious. So, well, if there are no more questions, then maybe we can say goodbye. But yeah, I'm just going to wait a couple more seconds to see if there are any questions coming through related to TEFL, TESOL, and teaching English. But yeah, you can always find our previous live sessions. We've done so many live sessions in the past, so you can always find them in our playlist on Facebook and on YouTube. You can rewatch them. And even if you leave a comment or have a question later and you leave a comment after this is live, we will still get back to you. And also, maybe I should share this, our email address. If you have any questions also about the business English things, you can reach out to us via email. That's always a great way. Courses@TESOL-TEFL.com. So reach out and we'll be happy to schedule a consultation or communicate with you via email, whatever is best for you. I think we also do WhatsApp. So a lot of options there to get in touch. And Sam is asking, can a non-native person work in Korea if they have prior work experience? Yeah, so actually, I think Korea is making it easier for, non-native English speaking people to come and work. They are in the works of doing a remote worker visa that is coming. Also, they have a working holiday visa that a lot of people are doing nowadays. So you can come under that and work. Like I said in the beginning, or not in the beginning, but I said previously about the E2 visa. And you can Google this, but the E2 visa is the official English teacher visa. So if you're hired from abroad to fill an English teaching position, you will do so with the E2 visa. The E2 visa only allows people from the 7 English-speaking countries, right? However, you don't need to have the E2 visa to be hired as an English teacher if you have a different visa that allows you to live and work in Korea. Like, there are many other options. The working holiday visa, you can do that. A lot of people get a student visa and come and do that. So there's options. I would recommend go to the Korean embassy website of your country or call them to make sure. But there are definitely options. Emilio says, I can't decide between Vietnam and Cambodia. I lean a bit more towards Vietnam, though. Do you have any recommendations for me as a non-native English speaker about these two? Well, I have been to both countries. I have not taught in Vietnam or Cambodia. And to be honest, I think, because they're neighboring countries, right? They're next to each other. You can just do a year in Vietnam. And then if you don't like it, go to Cambodia or vice versa, right? It's really easy to do, I would say. You can find positions in both places, especially as a non-native English teacher as well. As a non-native, I think probably Cambodia would be even better in terms of like job opportunities. Sometimes Vietnam. Some schools I heard they do prefer native English speakers, so it depends. But I have a friend who actually lives in Vietnam, and she loves it. She loves it. She also said I think it's cheaper than Cambodia, which is interesting. So yeah, I think very similar, and you can always just move to the other place once you're already like in that area. You know, if you live in Vietnam, you can just take a trip over to Cambodia and say, oh, I actually like this more, and then move over there. Don't overthink it. I would say don't overthink it. Just go with your gut and just do it. Just do it. Just make the move, and then if you don't like it, you can just move to the other country. It's fine. You know, you'll never know until you try. That would be my advice. All right, I think we're going to end it here. We are 1 hour and 5 minutes in. I think this is a good timeline, or a good time to stop now. You can always watch the replay, as I said, and I will be back next week anyway. I will be back next week with another live session. If you have any topic suggestions, let me know in the comments or via Instagram or email or whatnot. You can contact me. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you found it interesting and you learned something. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you all again next week. Same place, same time. I'll be here, and I hope you too. And thank you so much. And Sam says, take care, Linda. Catch you in the next one. I hope to catch you too in the next one, Sam. See you there. Bye. Let's see. Where's my goodbye thing? Here we go. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend wherever you are. Thank you. Bye.